This is Marvel Universe Marvel Knights featuring Cloak and Dagger. The figures are, I think, hopefully part of Wave 22, 23, and 24. And here's a swift look at their packaging. They're both from Series 5, the last series of Marvel Universe figures. They have exactly the same card backs. Figure number 17 for Series 5, and the only difference is really the bubble. Cloak will obviously have a bigger one, a bigger notch to it. So anyway, for those of you who already know who these guys are, I'm probably going to be boring you with some details on who they are for the benefit of those who have no idea who they are. They're an odd couple, always together and not together, and well, they've always been supporting roles. They got their own solo. They got the spotlight solo comic books back in the 80s. They first appeared 1982. Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, issue number 61, 64. And eventually Hasbro, Marvel decided to give them their own comic book, which really didn't go too far after issue 6, because the old writer really had only 6 issues in mind, and they went until issue 19, and then they were put together with Doctor Strange and Strange Tales. They got split again. Doctor Strange took his own comic book, and they had the misadventures of Cloak and Dagger and whatnot. And essentially, and then after that, it never worked out. They started appearing in various comic books like Maximum Carnage, Dark Avengers, I think. Their latest one was, they had a Marvel Knights. Well, for what this, where this, the background on the packaging is referring to, they were in Marvel Knights, an old comic book by Hasbro. Then I think the latest was Spider Island, and now they're together or they're not. I think they broke up. They're trying to get back together. I have no idea. They're like Selena and Justin. I mean, they should just do whatever they want to do. I mean, just get it done and over with, and stop playing around. Anyway, they first started as teenagers. They were both lost. Tandy Bowen, aka Dagger, ran away from home because her supermodel mom did not have time for her. Oh my gosh, real world problems, sweetheart. Anyway, this guy was really just a runaway. Tyrone Johnson, something like that. Ty. They met. He was trying to rob her, and then he felt pity for her, tried to give him money. He felt bad. Then a real robber came, got his purse, and he tried to save the day, brought the purse back, and then somehow they got kidnapped by a drug dealer, and the drug lord, like, I don't know, Silvermane or something like that, gave them. The guy was trying to experiment on synthetic heroin, and he was trying to use it on runaways and castaways and whatever, and kids, and he tried it on them, and then when they escaped, they manifested powers. Coincidentally, it was dark and light powers. Ty had the dark powers, and so he became Cloak. His body was like a portal to another dimension, a dark dimension. How cheesy can you get? So he would suck in people there, and they would stay there forever. Much like the limbo dimension that Magic has access to. His version is just like a dark dimension. Yeah, like the inner darkness that we all have, and he always is hungry. He needs to suck people in. Anyway, Dagger was like the opposite. Oh, isn't that sweet? She was the opposite. Anyway, the same synthetic heroin in both of them. They get opposite powers, whatever. Some say they got the powers because a demon despair sort of intervened in their lives, and that's how they got intertwined. Anyway, whatever. So she got the light powers. She had projectiles. She had light daggers. Daggers were made of light, and she would shine like an angel and whatnot. And that's her powers. So she was dark. She was light. And the only way to stave off his hunger is she's like, oh, I need, and then he was like, here you go. I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you. The light, yeah. She would give it to him, and he would be okay. If he didn't get any from Dagger, he would be constantly hungry and wandering the streets trying to suck people in. God, how cheesy is that? Anyway, they broke up. They got back together. They broke up. It was the whole duo didn't really survive very long. I mean, they had their own comic book for about 6 issues. They were okay. After 6 issues, it just went downhill from then. They were teamed up with Doctor Strange and Strange Tales, and they got split again. Doctor Strange had his own gig, and they went on to do the misadventures of Cloak and Dagger. And then they appeared in various crossover comic books or storylines like Maximum Carnage, Marvel Knights, which is what the bio is referring to, Civil War, Runaways, uh, Dark X-Men, and they even had a one shot in 2010, and I think they even appeared in Spider Island. I think, yeah, Spider Island was, I think, was the most popular recent one. So anyway, the Marvel Knights story was like, and I think it's what this thing is referring to. The bio is referring to. Just go ahead and they broke up, and then Cloak had this uncontrollable urge, and he just started sucking in people, all the bad guys, and nobody. And so Dagger enlisted the help of the Marvel Knights, which was now defunct, but they sort of formed themselves back in the day. Daredevil, Black Widow. She made a strong connection with Black Widow. Luke Cage, Shang-Chi, everybody got sucked into to Cloak, and through her powers, she tried to absorb Cloak's powers and save the day, and then they're back together. And in their next appearances in Spider Island and in Dark X-Men actually was the time they got a little bit of a spotlight. Their powers were switched. Was it Dark X-Men? No, I don't think so. No, that was Spider Island, I think. Anyway, Dark X-Men, they helped Wolverine and whatnot, and then, anyway, they went out. Originally they were thought to have been mutants because, the heroin, the synthetic heroin, just activated their latent abilities. Originally, it was just thought that the heroin was responsible for their abilities. Then, because they were mutants, they had latent abilities. The heroin triggered it. And then in Dark Avengers, Doctor Nemesis says, "Oh, you're not really mutants. Yeah, you're not one of us because it's really the heroin." Okay, so now they're confused, but they're trying to work out their relationship. In Spider Island, they were homeless. They were in New York. They got evicted because I don't know. Apartment wasn't up to standards, whatever. They were on the streets, and they were asked for some help for the events of Spider Island. Anyway, I think that's when their powers got switched, and it said that that was really what their powers should have been had the demon Despair had not intervened. Dagger should have been the dark one. Cloak should have been the light one. Whatever. Anyway, it just got boring for me. To me, they're not the most interesting characters. At one point, they look great. The whole idea of dark and light fighting drugs, drug fighters, drug enforcers, or they were like the sort of renegade DEA of the Marvel universe. And I think it was Marvel's way of taking a stand against drugs and the prohibited substances, much like how they tried to write up the demon in the bottle for Tony Stark, and they were against alcoholism and whatnot, and they were just trying to make an advocacy. And these two were the drug crime fighters. They were fighting drug lords, and that's essentially what it was. And it was a little bit one-sided. It was dark and light, and I think it got boring. So I don't know if they're still together now or they're not. Justin Bieber and Selena get back together. I'm sure they can. Now on to the figures. Sorry for that lengthy the discussion on it. Let's start with Cloak. I think this. I think this is a new mold. It sort of has the eye of Agamotto. No, it's different. It's painted very well, very nice soft rubbery material, very nice. But the thing is, it hinders shoulder articulation. He's got a head sculpt with a non-removable cloak, so that's okay. Ball jointed neck, ball jointed upper torso, ball hinge shoulders, bicep swivel, hinge elbow, swivel wrist, ball jointed hip, double jointed knees, and ball hinge ankle. And what you're noticing right now is Hasbro screwing us and giving us an ancient mold. A 5-year-old mold. They could have given us the Cyclops, the Jim Lee Cyclops mold, Doctor Strange, Daredevil, whatever, just to give us some, we're ending the line, but we're going to give the fans some reprieve. We're going to give you an awesome mold. But no, they gave us a cape. with an old body. Still, that's the only thing you really need from Cloak because he's always in the shadows. Okay, on to Dagger. Dagger is the gem of these two. If you absolutely must get just one, I don't understand why you would only get one. You need two. Most hobby shops are selling them as a pair. You'd absolutely need to get this one. This one I think has a more modern sculpt. She's got a ball jointed neck on a hinge. Can you believe that? All the articulation went to this girl. Ball jointed upper torso, ball hinge shoulders and elbows like Star Wars, swivel wrist, ball jointed hip, thigh swivel, double jointed knees, ankle swivel, ball joint, a ball hinge, thigh swivel, calf swivel, ball jointed, ball hinge ankles with rocker joints. I mean, fantastic articulation on this one. Paint apps on this one, okay. Just make sure you get the face with the wash that's not done too light or too dark. This one has superb paint apps. The only paint apps that are in question are really on her bosom. The flesh melding with the silver or pearlesque white. That's the only thing you should look out for. The eyes are okay, the face is okay, the silver, fantastic. Absolute fan of this figure. So again, the better figure between the two is really Dagger, obviously. But you have to get both because Cloak and Dagger always did come together back in the 80s, 90s, and to a certain extent in the early 2000 to 2010. They split up and I'm sure they're going to get back together. Who knows? You know, Marvel now is always, they're always rebooting something. I don't know. So, as a pair, I'd like to give them a 10 out of 10. Dagger will get 10, he'll get 8. So as a pair, they should be 9 out of 10. But because of the nostalgia these guys have and the potential they have in I think this is a great reboot to do and give them another backstory and whatnot. Try to start fresh. It'd be a great story. And instead of drugs, they could be finding something else. I'd want to give them a 10 out of 10. So this is one of those couple that will be a pain to hunt for. But if you're a big fan of the Marvel Universe, you're a big fan of these figures, you're a big fan of the whole series, and because it's ending, this is something that you have to hunt down. For the casual Marvel Universe collector, you don't have to. If you see it on retail, well and good, paid retail price. If you see it in a hobby shop and you can afford it, fine. But for the casual collector who probably won't even know who these guys are, I don't think it's necessary to hunt them down. But for the Marvel zombies out there who really grew up with these characters, they're a nice addition to your shelf and it's worth hunting down. But don't go cross town freezing your butt off, and just do what you can. So there you go, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this video review. If you did, please click the thumbs up icon at the bottom. Follow me on Twitter for my toy purchase, Instagram for my toy sightings. Check out all my videos, latest ones here on Cheftron, my old FX Friends channel. Still alive and kicking, but I'll have limited videos such as vlogs and other whatnot videos. This has been the Marvel Universe Marvel Knights featuring Cloak and Dagger. Thanks for watching.